Welcome back to United Podcast. It's Larry, your host, and I'm joined by Tom as always. Tom, it feels like it's been about 5 years, 8 days, 11 hours, 36 minutes, and 27 seconds since we last did a video.
Well, I don't know. Is this an international break? Is it an FA Cup weekend? Or United just played all their fixtures and everyone's catching up on fixtures because we're not even halfway. Well, I think we're halfway through it, but it seems like it just started. But we have a long way to go. United aren't playing till next month still. So I don't know what it is, Larry, but it is playing sort of havoc with my brain at the moment, unfortunately.
It's all right, mate. Just 10 more days until Manchester United are back on our television screens. And remember, gosh, if I can get my words out, remember, if you are new here, hit that subscribe button. There's always something for someone in the pub. So make sure that you are subscribed, and we will bring it to Josh, who's here as well. Evening, Josh. Evening, mates. Been a solid international bake for content so far. Pub bingo, and United running a panel on who should be the next manager. Well, Josh, sit back and relax. And to anyone else who's in here, make sure you're doing the same as well, because what we're going to be talking about is the Dutchman, Erik Tan Haag. He seems to be firming as Manchester United manager, or firming at least as a favourite. Now, if you believe Fabrizio Romano, Pochettino still very much in the race. But Tom, we are here to talk about the Dutchman. I am an admirer of Dutch pancakes, so I'm very excited to go through this one with you. Before we rip into it, I have to ask you, have you ever been to Amsterdam?
I have not. No. I'm about to hear a story that you have, apparently.
Of course I have. I've been everywhere. Seriously, you need to go to Amsterdam and treat yourself to a good crepe. And you need to go to Bulldog Cafe, because if you're a tourist, it's exactly what you do. And you go and smoke marijuana while the locals look at you like you're an amateur while they chew down their shrooms. But nonetheless, Tom, let's talk about the football. I start with Ralf Rangnick. And if you're looking at the thumbnail of this video, it does say Ralf Rangnick wants Erik Tan Haag. Now, where have we pulled that from? Have I pulled it out of my backside? I can assure you I have not. If you look at the press, well, every time that Ralf Rangnick finds himself in front of the press, Tom, he's always cagey around his responses when it comes to determining who the next manager will be next season. He's at times put himself forward. But interestingly, in a sit-down, I can't recall if it was with MUTV or Sky. I believe it was Sky. He actually got questioned on Erik Tan Haag, and he's the only manager that the German name dropped. And he did refer to him as one of the best in Europe in terms of coaching. Do you read into that at all? Do you think it's a coincidence that he's openly willing to talk about Erik Tan Haag, particularly when questioned around that, if that was his preference? Though he hasn't been willing to name drop Pochettino or Julian Lopetegui or anyone else for that matter.
No, I think it's just one of those ones. I think just before Ralf Rangnick was appointed Man United manager, everyone was watching previous interviews he's done, and he's always spoken openly about sort of managers he's worked for or managers who have sort of been part of that Red Bull group. So pretty much every interview, he talks about other coaches and other managers. So I think it's quite sort of common practice for him. But in regards to sort of, would you call it name dropping Ten Hag in an interview as Manchester United manager, it's interesting. Look, a lot of it does come back to, do we believe Ralf Rangnick has a say in this, in who the new manager will be? And I'm sure we'll get into that in a little bit. But I think he is just one of those managers at the moment. Yes, you do have that elite group of managers in Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, Thomas Tuchel, Ancelotti, or maybe people don't have him there, but you know, that type of bracket. And Ten Hag is almost that. If you say who's the next one to break into that, a lot of people will probably have Ten Hag in terms of the work he is doing at Ajax. And Ajax is a huge club, in my opinion. They get far sort of too much disrespect. I think Ajax are a huge club, and he's doing very well there. So I think it's just common practice for him, Ralf Rangnick. I think he's honestly sort of admirer of him. Whether that means he's going to be the new Man United manager. Look, you're in the hosting chair tonight, Larry, but I'll throw a question to you in the live chat as well. Are we getting a little bit of a sort of ahead of ourselves here? Just thinking, I think a lot of us are walking around now saying Ten Hag's our new manager. In 6 weeks, he's going to be the new manager at Man United. I'm just thinking, look, that's all what we want, and it's all very exciting. Hang on, he's had an interview. They're still going to interview Pochettino. They're still going to interview one or two other candidates as well. And I'm just thinking, I'm all for the excitement. I love it. I don't know if the money would say yes, he's going to be the Man United manager. But do you think we're sort of jumping the gun a little bit?
I don't, to be honest. The fact that you're seeing the press really ram hard with Erik Ten Hag over the last few days suggests to me if you have your ear close to the ground, which, with all due respect, the good journos, the ones who we consider tier one, they're the ones who are banging home the drum around Erik Ten Haag, then that suggests to me they know something.
The cynic in me, though, would throw that to you and saying a lot of the reports, though, the report is saying Man United are impressed with him and he's their preferred option. Is it Ten Hag? Obviously, Ten Hag would like to go to Man United, but I think the way they're setting up, they're not saying they're confident in getting him. They're saying their preferred option. Now, obviously, that's putting a good PR spin. Okay, we want this best manager. We don't want Pochettino because the fans don't want him. Who do the fans want? They want Ten Hag. Yeah, he's who we want as well. He might not play. They might not come to an agreement. They say, "Oh, we tried. He was our preferred choice. Unfortunately, things didn't work out." Now, I hope that's not the case. I'm not saying that is how things are unfolding. But maybe it's just the cynic in me who says we need to calm down a little bit.
Look, I hear you. I'm just going to run away with it, as you can see by the thumbnail. Well, that's what, Tom, you're the cynical one, and I'm the delusional one. But that's why we balance each other out. That's why we're a good partnership. I'm going to bring it back to the comments here while I continue. Jamie, our Irish fan, top of the morning to you, Jamie. Morning, guys. Mate, good afternoon, mate. I hope you're sitting back and enjoying the video. Dion in the comments, I've got no doubt the deal is just about done. I'm with you, Dion. Let's be optimistic. Don't listen to Tom. He's just a negative Nancy. Josh worked under Pep as well. He absolutely did at Bayern Munich. Let's not forget that. Evening, Rob. Josh, no doubt the press are going to have a field day, but as you can see, there are other interviews. Yeah, look, you're not wrong. And I think that, look, we'll obviously see what happens over the next 2 weeks. But Tom, before I continue with the program, what have you made of the reports of Ajax aren't going to stand in Erik Ten Hag's way? Reportedly, the compensation for Manchester United to pay is around 5 million euros. The compensation for Pochettino is reportedly around 17 million euros. Well, if you're the Glazers, and if you're saying what's the smart bet, you have to think it is the Dutchman.
Yeah, look, 2 minutes ago I said Ajax are a massive club. Of course they are. Okay, it's a different kettle of fish when you're talking about Man United. You saw when Donny van der Beek, when Man United came in for him, Real Madrid previously, who agreed the deal with Ajax for Donny van der Beek to go to Real Madrid, didn't stand in his way. When Man United came knocking, they let Donny van der Beek go. The same thing will be here with Ten Hag. Even if Ten Hag was to go to somewhere else, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, wherever, Ajax are a huge club. But yes, you just look at the wages. What's Ajax top earner on? They're probably on, I don't know, 70 or 80 grand a week.
Oh, nothing. Peanuts.
The players. So, like, if a club comes in for anyone at Ajax, manager included, one of the big boys, they're rightfully so. And you look at Edwin van der Sar's relationship between Ajax and Manchester United, that's obviously a very sort of sweetener for the deal. So, if Man United want Ten Hag and he is the first choice, business-wise, in terms of the financials, it's a no-brainer. This can be done overnight, in my opinion.
I hear you. Well, if you are hoping that Erik Ten Hag is Manchester United's new manager, make sure you do like the video. There are 8 of you here watching live with us at this current moment in time. As more come in, please make sure you're hitting that like button. It does help me and Tom a lot. But Tom, I will continue on with what are the pros of Erik Ten Hag? So I'm going to throw some opinions at you and things that I have things that I believe are positives. And I want you to add commentary to that, whether you agree with me, whether you disagree, or as you said, you are the cynic. So please tell me why I am also absolutely and utterly wrong. One of the positives I'm going to start with, he believes in supporting his players. Now, that seems like an obvious one, but I want to share with you some quotes he said prior to versing Tottenham in 2019. He said, "We prepare our team thoroughly on the basis of our own strengths. We have to acknowledge the opposition and we have to respect the opposition." But he really hones down on the point of if my players are on the pitch, they can make their own independent decisions if something changes on the pitch. When you look at these comments, this suggests this is a manager who is willing to trust the 11 he allows to go into that football pitch. Do you read into this at all? Do you think it's a positive in terms of if I were to compare it to modern times, you've got Ralf Rangnick who wants the players to play a certain style. There's a concern that the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes and co aren't necessarily fitting into the system. When you hear these quotes, does that give you some sort of assurance that Erik Ten Hag knows the way he wants to play and will only select players that he trusts can execute what he wants on the pitch?
Look, to be honest, I like the comments, but to be fair, not really. It's nothing for me. It's, I think, what a standard manager would say. I think even, a structured manager in a Louis van Gaal or Jose Mourinho, yes, they're sort of fixed in their ways and they want this done that way and they want that done this way. But yeah, so ideally every manager says, okay, I want to get the best of our players. Okay, I want to give them the freedom to express themselves. It's standard commentary for a manager, and rightfully so. So while I agree with him and I like the sound of it, it's nothing to write home about, in my opinion. That's definitely not a criticism of him. And ultimately, you talk about that sort of giving the freedom sort of the players and sort of making their own decisions, etc. You can do that at Ajax. Can you do that when players are on 400 grand a week at Man United and have huge power and influence? That becomes a different kettle of fish. It's great for Ten Hag to say, I want to do things that way. Well, you can do that at Ajax and other clubs. Manchester United, Jose Mourinho hasn't been able to do that. Louis van Gaal hasn't been able to do that. Club legend in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer hasn't been able to do that. Now, fingers crossed, Ten Hag comes in and he's able to do it. The evidence for me says, not much. Look, I'm so excited about it. I am excited about it. It's a big job.
It is a big job. But can I just say, you are sporting the Erik Ten Hag look. Is that intentional?
Everyone will be going for it now. Everyone will be going for it. Your hair will be gone in 6 months' time when we're top of the league under the Dutchman.
Undoubtedly. I'll also be dyeing my facial hair brown. I do want to look like Erik Ten Hag. All right, let me throw another positive at you. He's a serial winner, Tom. He's got a winning percentage of 73%, and that's over 209 games so far for Ajax. It is the same as Pep Guardiola at Manchester City. It's also a very similar statistic. I'm talking about a 2% variance here in what Pep Guardiola did with Barcelona B, because I know there are going to be people in the comments or anyone watching this thinking, well, mate, you're talking about Pep Guardiola who has proven himself at Manchester City, at Barcelona, at Bayern Munich. Well, I'm telling you, this guy, if we're going to say Pep Guardiola did magic with Barcelona B, this guy is doing absolute magic with Ajax. 73% win percentage. He's won the title 3 times. This guy knows how to win. And that's something that, as much as I like Ralf Rangnick, he doesn't have the wins in his locker. You open his trophy cabinet, there's a lot of dust in there. This guy is a winner. Do you think that counts for anything when we're talking about the Dutchman coming in as manager?
No, of course, that's a huge tick in the box. And I think that's a sort of sometimes an unfair stick to beat Pochettino with. In regards to the lack of trophies, I think, okay, Tottenham's Tottenham. So I've never really used that sort of against Pochettino too much. But yes, that's a definite sort of good characteristic to look at in Erik Ten Hag in terms of that winning sort of culture. But also you do have to look back and you give those percentages out. And while, yes, they sound great, those win percentages, at the end of the day, it is Ajax. I would expect that from any Ajax, maybe not 73%. I don't know what a good win percentage is for a sort of championship winning team. But I assume Ajax are usually going to be around that mark anyway.
Sir Alex Ferguson had less than 73% over his
of course, he was in the Premier League for Man United sort of thing. Like Ajax, I expect Ajax every season to be winning 70% of their games. And again, that's not a criticism.
Pep Guardiola's career average is around that 73% mark, and that's including the fact that he's been at Manchester City since 2016. He's also had
but that's a career average, so naturally that's going to come down. You're going over a 2 or 3 year spell at Ajax for Ten Hag. It really should. I'm not saying it should be higher, but comparing it to Pep Guardiola's career, it should be higher than. It's obviously a smaller sample size. It's like a pass completion stat.
Yeah, I hear. Absolute cynic. All right.
Yeah, I sound like I don't want Ten Hag. Trust me, people. I do want Ten Hag. I don't know why it's coming out like this, but yeah.
Oh, Tom, you're just a miserable human being. What about playing style? Ajax play on the front foot. They're a side that dominate possession. They're a side that play in a conventional 4-3-3. Manchester United play in a conventional 4-3-3. I think we all see the need for investment, particularly in the midfield, and some would argue even in defense. And we've already seen Ralf Rangnick say a striker will come in. So with all that being said, do you think the fact that he plays a similar playing style he plays a way that Manchester United are hoping to play, do you think that figures positively in Erik Ten Hag's hands?
It has to be in regards to, we always talk about, everyone goes, okay, we need a technical director or a football director or whatever they're called these days. Every club has a different way they describe that person. But the huge thing there is to have a structure where, okay, if the manager changes or you sell a player and bring a player in, the structure is there. So you're going to buy a player to fit that system. You're not going to buy a defender who can only play in a low block. If you're going to play in a high line, every single defensive signing is going to be someone who's suited to that role. So that is a good thing in terms of Ralph Rangnick's sort of idea of football in comparison with Ten Hag and their views on how they want to sort of play football. But Ajax it would be a lazy comparison for me just to talk about Ajax and the way they play football, because how many games have I watched of Ajax and Ten Hag? It wouldn't be many, definitely no Dutch games. I don't even know if we get the Dutch games on TV here. But during that Champions League run, we'll watch them a few times, and this season I've sort of watched them on occasions. So, I don't know, 6 or 7 games I've watched of Ajax over the last couple of years. They look like a textbook Ajax side. They look like a textbook Dutch side, where they're all fluid in possession. You can see like a Donny van der Beek sitting, which he obviously flourished at Ajax. You can see the blueprint of what he does want to do. Now, can he sort of translate that into the Premier League? Obviously, Pep Guardiola has shown he can bring his football to the Premier League. Jurgen Klopp has shown he can bring his football to the Premier League. The challenge now will be Ten Hag to bring his football to the Premier League. And out of all the systems, a lot of people sort of would have had their doubts that Pep Guardiola could have brought that style of football and be successful in England. I think we can definitely see a way where Ten Hag's football will be a success in England. The way he is actually now doing it. So I've always liked the Ajax football. I think we've all grown up on the way Ajax played football. Barcelona are sort of so heavily influenced by them. And excited by it. But again, the proof will be in the pudding, and he has to come in and make it happen.
Indeed. If I look at their last Champions League match against Benfica, granted they did go out on aggregate 3-2. But if you look at the statistics in that game, Ajax had 69% possession. They had 16 shots on goal. Benfica had 4. Yet Benfica are the ones who run away with the result. And it just shows that the way that they play, I think it is very much in that Pep Guardiola, Johan Cruyff mold. But like you say, I think the challenge will be, one, will he be able to integrate that into these players? How quickly can he do that? The question number 2 will be, what's the investment going to be like? Everything around Fabrizio Romano, the thing that I really was impressed about, all the reports suggest in the interview he did ask what his budget would be. If he's comfortable, if he wants to take the job, that tells me they've told him, or he's got some sort of assurance that he will have money to spend this summer.
Well, do you think that I saw it was a meme or it was a bit of a joke in regards to the tweet that was sent out, but it was actually, there's a serious element to it. Everyone's talking about the Man United interviewing Ten Hag. It really should be Ten Hag interviewing Man United, like in all reality. Like he should have sort of far sort of more sort of pressing questions towards the club in regards to things like that. Okay, if I'm in the Champions League, what happens? If I'm in the Europa League, what happens? If I'm in the Conference League, what happens? Is that going to impact Man United's decision? Are they only going to get Ten Hag if we're in the Europa League? If we make the Champions League, are they going to reward Ralph Rangnick and give him the job? There's so many questions that we don't know in regards to what next season looks like fixtures-wise. Like what competition are we going to be in? So the budget one is huge in terms of, look, you don't know if the club are going to go in a different direction, but post-Fergie, we do look at sort of how we have acted in the Europa League. When we do qualify for the Europa League, that is when we get our money to spend. Now, obviously, we did spend a lot of money this year in regards to Ronaldo, Sancho and Varane, but there will have to be investment, especially if we're in the Europa League. Now, there should be just as much, if not more, investment in the Champions League. Now, will that happen? Probably not. So maybe Ten Hag is coming in and thinking, actually, I might be better in building my team if I'm in Europa League this season. I'm definitely not saying he wants to play in Europa League, but it might help budget-wise.
So Tom has come onto this video and he has told us Erik Tan Haag is shit, and he's also told us United are going to be in the Europa League. Mate, who pissed in your coffee this morning? Seriously? Are
United going to be in the Europa League or Champions League next year?
I'm going to say Champions League. Arsenal are going to shit themselves.
I believe that as well. But when I call Ten Hag shit on here, I'm nothing but praise. I'm just sort of saying he's not the manager yet.
Oh God! Here you are rocking his haircut, and then
wait till Pochettino's interviewed in a couple of days, and all the tweets come out, and everyone will be running about stories about Pochettino. The narrative will change. Now, I'm not saying I'm on that side of the fence. I'm just thinking, calm down until the contract's signed. If one club can stuff this up, it is Man United, unfortunately.
All right. Well, let me give you my one last positive and why I think Erik Ten Hag is the perfect fit for Manchester United. They went on a famous run in the Champions League. Their most notable victory was against Juventus. Can you tell me how many players from that Juventus starting 11, from the Ajax side that versed Juventus in the starting 11 in the second leg, tell me how many of those players were in Ajax's starting 11 when they versed Benfica in the Champions League just last week?
Not many.
4. So Erik Tan Haag has overseen a massive rebuild. He's lost notable names such as Donny van de Beek, such as De Ligt at Juventus now, Frankie de Jong, and all these players have gone on to bigger and better clubs. Now, granted, varied success, but he's lost a lot of good players. What I'm really impressed here is he's overseen a massive rebuild. Now, he's overseen a massive rebuild in the biggest club in the Netherlands. So some might argue, well, is it really that impressive? Well, yeah, it is, because Manchester United have spent £1.25 billion over the last 9 years and still can't seem to get it right. We seem further away from the title than we ever were. So I'd argue that Erik Ten Hag knows how to spend the money wisely. He knows how to invest in the team correctly. He knows the type of player he wants. And because he knows all of those things, he will be successful at Manchester United, because there's no doubt United are about to enter another rebuild.
Look, that's why, the Ten Hag appointment does excite me, but that is why I think we do need patience. And what scares me in regards to will Manchester United be successful again? Because yes, bring Ten Hag in and he has shown a sort of the ability to do a rebuild and an eye for a talent and eye to the way to play football. That's all fantastic. But sometimes in the position we're in regards to a rebuild, you're going to have to take a sort of maybe one step back to go 2 steps forward. I think there was a season in there where they didn't win the league. I think PSV or Feyenoord must have won the league one season where Ajax didn't win it. So that's their one step back. And I'm just thinking, let's say our one step back is next season in December and we're sitting in 12th. I will say keep a hold of Ten Hag. If I see something, I'd say keep the vision. You have to be patient with him, let him get out of this, and we'll sort of see the rewards in a year or two's time. Will the club act like that? Will the fan base act like that when we're sitting in 12th or 13th and lost 4 games on the bounce? Will the fans and the club have that patience? I don't think they will. I hope they do, because I want to see this come through. You look at the way Arsenal are now benefiting from sticking with Mikel Arteta. Whatever you think of him, if he's good enough or not good enough, they've had the one manager. They've had some type of consistency, and now it's showing sort of benefits. And that is a fear I have with Ten Hag, not with Ten Hag, but a fear I have with the club, because I think for Ten Hag to take us forward, he's going to have to take us a few steps back, and rightly so, because he's going to have to weed out a lot of problems. But when he takes us those couple of steps back, how is the fan base and the club going to act?
It's a valid point, Simon. I think Alucard's hit the nail on the head here. He mentions Ten Hag is a team builder and he knows his system, but he's made a really key point here. The board need to stay out of it, and patience is the key, but our fans will not wait. I think, and Emad's also touched on it here as well, and I completely agree with you. I think we also have to accept, we've seen it under Oli, we've seen it under Jose, Louis van Gaal, David Moyes. We need to be patient with this guy. And I can't believe I'm about to say this. Look at what Arsenal have done with Mikel Arteta.
That's 100%.
They've come 9th consecutively. It's appalling. And if that was a Manchester United manager, you bet your bottom dollar.
It doesn't matter if you think it doesn't. It's not a debate if Arteta's good enough or not good enough. It's just having a consistent manager. It's letting a manager do his things. If you give any manager 4 or 5 years, it'll eventually start to work, especially if that club has money, and Arsenal have invested a fair bit of money. So that is the thing with United. We just haven't afforded any manager at that time.
Exactly. And that's where United really need to get this right. And it's not just about Erik Ten Hag. And without turning this into a Glazer conversation, I then ask you the question, how important is Ralf Rangnick's advisory role, and how important is it that he actually stays on? Because what I want and what I believe we all need is we need Ralf Rangnick to be there to, like you say, be that football director, provide guidance to the football club, be able to report into the board, but have the power and the ability to oversee the structure at Manchester United to let it be successful. Erik Ten Hag can't do it by himself. He has shown that he can be successful. He's shown he's got the tactical nous to play a certain way, to achieve results, to win. So whether he's the best manager in world football or not, you made the point on Mikel Arteta. Whether you're the best manager or not, consistency does show that it will yield results. So if we know that, we need to let the football men have the opportunity to let the football project flourish.
Yeah, no, 100%. Whether it's Ralph Rangnick or someone else, it has to be a football person making that. And look, we're still sitting here. I have my concerns or doubts that Ralph Rangnick is going to have that power. Let's hope he does. And again, it's nothing to do. If Paul Mitchell has that power, if he comes in, or Ralph Rangnick keeps that power, whoever it is, that's the person who needs to be making decisions. Not Richard Arnold or Woodward or Glazers or whoever. It needs to be that football person. And I have my fears that Ralph Rangnick isn't going to look. He's going to stay on in some type of consultancy role they're still talking about, but Ralph Rangnick doesn't know anything about it, so it does concern me. But it's hugely important, and it's going to be key because you look at the successful football clubs at the moment: Manchester City, Liverpool, even Chelsea. They have that structure. They have some type of plan going forward. We haven't had that plan post Fergie, where this is the closest we're taking to the right step to get a plan in regards to having Ralph Rangnick in some type of advisory role, and maybe someone who's done this role in a Paul Mitchell if he comes to the club. And just fingers crossed it does click, because my God, I can't do another 10 years without a title, mate.
I'm hearing you, Tom. We've been going about 26 minutes, so I want to start to wrap up now. Let me ask you the question. Well, look, there'll obviously be a deeper analysis once we know who the manager will be. Give me a player who you think would absolutely flourish in Erik Tan Haag's system, and also give me one player who you think might find themselves on the outer at Old Trafford.
The flourish is an interesting one. I think a lot of people just go, Donny van der Beek, and rightly so. I think Donny van der Beek will be given a chance, and rightly so. Who knows? Everton might be in the Championship, so he'll be running back to Manchester. But I think Donny van der Beek will come in. I think the one who will flourish, in my opinion, you just have to look at Jadon Sancho. You can see Jadon Sancho going to Ajax, and not that he would go to Ajax, but you could see him sort of fitting in that team and standing out. The one player that maybe the Smoky, we're not going to be spending 100-something million on Declan Rice, no matter what sort of competition we're in. I can see James Garner getting a chance. And you could see very well, if Man United still had James Garner and he didn't go to Forest, you could very well see him going to Ajax on loan and starting at Ajax. You could see that happening. So I could see Erik Ten Hag bringing James Garner back, and whether he starts or not, he'll be given the chance. And I think maybe the one, okay, I've just said a few dark horses, maybe someone else, potentially Victor Lindelof. I said if Victor Lindelof was to leave Man United, could you see him in Ajax? I think you could see him at Ajax, a Swedish defender there, and just the way he comes out with the back four. I could potentially see Lindelof, if he can kick it off, sort of kick on from where he has left off this season. I think he was potentially, because obviously the Lindelof discussion is tied in with Harry Maguire in regards to the one person who might struggle, and just based on form, you probably have to say it's going to be Harry Maguire, who's probably looking over his shoulder.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you there. But I think that's a good place to leave it. Before we do wrap up, Tom, let me hand over to you. There is a big Manchester United game happening this weekend. The people may have missed it. So can you please inform anyone who is watching this video about the Manchester United fixture that is occurring this weekend? Because the United players are doing a tour here in Sydney.
Yeah, if you do need your United fix this weekend, obviously, and you are in Sydney, the Man United Supporters Club are playing in Caringbah, 5 Sports Caringbah, at 5:30 kickoff against the Chelsea Supporters Club. We're raising money for the New South Wales and ACT Food Bank. All the money raised will be going towards them, and they'll provide food for people affected by the floods. So, if you are in Sydney, feel free to come down. We cannot be in a position where Chelsea get more fans down there than us, but our squad is looking a bit thin. A few guys in the chat are playing. Larry and I are both playing as well, and the squad only has about 13 or 14 players, so we do need as much support as we can, because a lot of us put our hand up after 3 or 4 minutes for a substitution. So it is going to be a hard sort of 90 minutes, Larry, 92, 93 minutes of football. But we always question these Man United players, and we say, they don't care enough, or they're not good enough. We'll put the effort in. Well, whatever the score, last time we played Chelsea, we beat them 8-6. So defending was optional. And I'm just thinking, if you want to go down and see some attacking football, some dodgy tackles, I know Ahmad and I are both sharpening our studs to lay on a few Chelsea players. If you want to come down and see some attacking football, dodgy tackles, there's always a red card or two in the most sort of good-natured way. It's usually a late sort of tackle when someone's tired at the end of the game. Feel free to come down and, you can get your money's worth. Well, it's free, obviously. But you can get your United fix this weekend and not be disappointed. by the first team over in Manchester.
Indeed. Well said. I'm very much looking forward to that game, Tom. I'm stretching my hamstring as soon as this video ends. But look, I think that's a good place to leave it. Tom, it's been a great chat. Enjoyed chatting about Erik Ten Haag while I'm looking at his Australian twin.
I can see it now. It's a bit of. I'd have to get rid of the beard though, just to go to.
Yeah, I think can you please do that for the weekend? I think if we're gonna play on Saturday.
I'm on the field though. I'm not managing though. I'm on the field. I'm starting in midfield. I'm not actually managing.
You can be player coach.
Player coach. I've just seen here Imad saying 8-6s a couple of years ago. He was coaching Bielsa. It was a dramatic game, that 8-6. I think you played that one, Larry, yeah?
I did play in that one. I scored an own goal.
I forget that. I don't remember that. I remember you gave away a penalty against Liverpool, but we are undefeated. We are undefeated, though. Can
you admit my penalty against Liverpool wasn't a penalty? My hand wasn't out. I didn't elevate my arm in an unnatural position.
If that was the other end of the field, we'd be screaming for a penalty for us.
We would be, but nonetheless, if I'm applying the rules as they're meant to be interpreted, it wasn't a penalty.
We won. And Erik Ten Haag, he scored a hat-trick against Liverpool.
Yeah.
Highlight of my career.
Yeah, highlight of your career. You're the fraud of a Dutchman, never even been to Amsterdam. But nonetheless, I hope you have all enjoyed that video. Make sure you are hitting that like button. If you are new, make sure you do subscribe. Like we say, there's always something in the pub for everyone. Tom, it's been a pleasure. And I'm sure we'll be speaking again soon, shortly. Hopefully we don't pull up too sore on Saturday. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Enjoy your evenings. Tom, we'll chat in a bit. Cheers.
Cheers, mate.